KBM sold to Spire. And, they had a press conference this week, and Jeff Dickerson was up on the podium. Kyle Busch was up on the podium. They actually had a previous relationship as a driver spotter. And so, boy, Jeff Dickerson sure has come a long way from a spotter on the roof to buying $40 million charters and buying truck teams. So happy for the Spire guys. One of the things that he said that certainly caught my eye was, we want to be taken seriously. How many more moves do we have to make to be taken seriously, that we are trying to compete and we are trying to get to the top of the sport? I think that's a very, very good statement he made. And it's true, right? I mean, they've now invested a lot of money into the sport. And, obviously they want to be better. They're not happy with where they're at. They want to be one of the best 2 or 3 car teams, or 3-car team, I guess now. So I really applaud what they've done over there, and certainly, think that this move is a move that, sets them up to be a contender. Let's say that, a contender for a playoff spot in the future.
Contender for a playoff spot. I have a question. Is it even realistically possible that every car in the field is a contender for a playoff spot?
No.
With 3 manufacturers?
No. It just, there's just a lot of red tape that it would take me hours to explain on here of what's the difference in a non-contender to a contender. Like the things, the resources.
Car, right,
I get it. It's, again, okay, we all had the same 200-piece Lego set, but it's still not the same. We put it together a little differently, or there's resources, there's engines, there's literally hundreds of parts that get made still at the shop that goes on to the race car. Did you know that?
I think I had an idea, but
yeah. Okay, so we all have the Lego set of the next gen car, right? Which is the same parts and pieces. That here is the next gen car. NASCAR says you have to buy these parts. This should be NASCAR 101. NASCAR 101. We're going to just put it right here in the beginning of the show. So it doesn't actually put the car together. There's still fasteners. There's still brackets. There's still all kinds of different things that if you buy NASCAR's next gen car, you have hundreds and hundreds of parts and pieces you still need to either manufacture or get from another supplier that's not mandated that actually puts the car together. So the next gen comes with essentially a booklet of how to put it together. I mean, it comes in an instruction manual. This is hilarious.
It literally is a Lego set.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Was this IKEA?
Yes. That, you know what? That exactly right. I think Kyle Busch called it, the it might have been like the Walmart car or something. I'm like, no, this is IKEA. This is for sure IKEA. So you're right, Travis. It is IKEA. So you got to put it together. They give you the manual to put it together. But things like seat brackets, dashes, the carbon fiber dash, there is no mandate for that stuff. So that's why you see the interior of a Joe Gibbs racing car look different than a Hendrick Motorsports car. So we, as the drivers, come up with, here's what I'd like, our dash to look like. I'd like for it to have some depth to it, some 3D look to it. You want it to be light. You want it to be minimalistic. So you don't want to carry any weight that you don't have to, because these things are already extremely, extremely heavy. So there's fasteners. There's, there's a lot of other stuff that I don't even know about, but I have in my email somewhere like all the parts and pieces we get from Joe Gibbs Racing that is not on the next gen list. So, and what's interesting when it comes to when you hear teams talk about where, you know what, I told you today, don't let me go off on a tangent on anything.
I know, but
I told you that.
But I'm fascinated by this.
Okay, so what when we initially got the budget for the next gen car, this was, I guess, about 2.5 years ago. The cost was right around, which it was coming in below what we were hoping it to be, or NASCAR was hoping it to be. It was around $225,000. I think all in right now. Now this is a rough estimate, but I think it's closer to accurate than not. The next gen car is probably all in with the parts, pieces, all the other stuff you have to purchase to actually make it roll and a driver sit in it.
Right.
We're probably around $350.
Right.
Travis, did I just hear you make a noise?
Yeah, that's...
You were like, whew.
Yeah, that's like half of what...
We're racing Lambos out there. Like, this isn't... That's why when, like, I hate to say this, but at the end of the race, I saw a big crash to start finish line, and I roll back around. I'm like, God, please don't be any of my cars. Because I'm like, it's such a big cost to, like, every wreck is. And now, okay, let me throw another wrench. Our crash budget, because...
Now we're officially tangenting.
Yeah. So our crash budget has gone up tremendously because we had to make safety changes for the crashes. So the cars, remember, they didn't even hardly... Alex Bowman got a concussion, right? His car was... They probably didn't even need to put a rear bumper on it the next race. Like, it just... Very minimal damage at all when they hit the wall. Now, when you hit the wall, you see the car's crushing. Well, it's crushing expensive.
So your crash budget goes up while your safety precautions also go up.
Yes. So it's worth it for us. Absolutely. You want driver safety, paramount, number one, whatever that costs. We have to do that. But the side effect, there always is a cause and effect. Well, when you start slotting clips and all this stuff to make it crush, you then start crushing very expensive stuff. And when you have big rear crashes, you likely will damage the most expensive part on the car, which is the transaxle, which is, $50,000. So yeah, the crash budgets have gone up, the cars have gone up. Our cost as team owners has gone up a lot, certainly in the last couple years. I mean, we've only been running the next gen a couple years, and it has gone up a lot since the very beginning. So that's why, the need for a new business model, all that stuff is so paramount for us. It's so important because, this next gen car is not saving us the money that we thought that it would. Back when the team owners voted on a next gen car or keep what we had in Gen 6, the team owners in NASCAR will tell you this. The team owners voted on it. I wasn't part of that vote. That was before I think we even came into the series. So this was 3-4 years ago. The idea was, hey, you're going to be able to save on engineering designers. There's a lot of staff you will not need with next gen because you won't be developing every part and piece of the car like you were on Gen 6.
Right. And you're not saying you necessarily want to save. There just needs to be a different model to support that cost.
Yes, exactly right. What we want as team owners is for our cost to compete to be covered by the league. There's not a league where the cost to compete is not covered except for in NASCAR, for sure.
Is it safe to say that the cost could go up more because we're still trying to find out what this car can handle in a crash and to make changes?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a rough guesstimate now. I mean, we had I remember looking at the budget for this year at the end of last year, and I'm like, man, you're jacking up the crash budget that much year to year. He's like, man, we just don't know, right? Like, I don't want to have to come to you and say, hey, we missed the budget on this. Or like, we'd rather miss on the high end than the low end.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate that. So, we just didn't know, because when you have a big crash, you don't know what extra is going to be damaged now that that you didn't plan for. So, I think that that part of it is just kind of a cause and effect. Cars cost more than we thought. So when you're folks, when you're on the grid and you're looking at these next gen cars, you're looking at Lambos. I mean, they are expensive. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? I know that's a bold question, but it's got that irresistible taste to back it up. Well, when you've got an irresistible match like zero sugar and 0 calories, something sensational is bound to happen. It's like when me and my co-host Jared team up to make a podcast. It's too bad you can't taste with your ears, because Coke Zero Sugar tastes so amazing, it's hard to put it into words. But hey, that's my job, at least on Mondays. You have to taste it for yourself. Coke Zero Sugar, the best Coke ever.
What can we do to combat these costs, or at least get them down a little bit?
Well, I think that, some of the issue we have is we have single source suppliers. And so they can somewhat dictate what the price is, right? When they can come to us and say, there's a certain amount of cost of the next gen car that they can automatically raise and not even have to get the okay. So there's inflationary cost, all that stuff, like labor goes up, commodities go up, steel or aluminum. They can just raise the prices and not even have to, say anything. They can just kind of add it onto your bill and say, yeah, it's more now, right? So anytime you have a single source supplier like we do, because what has happened is, so one manufacturer, they have bid on, hey, we want to build the control arms. They win the bid, so now we all have to purchase this from company A, and again they set the price, and that price can float. It can float, and it never floats down. Interestingly enough, it always floats up, and so if you want to combat that, there's a couple things we could do. If you look at the facilities that the teams have, such as Joe Gibbs Racing, Hendrick Motorsports, Stuart Haas, Richard Childress Racing, all these big 4-car teams, they have all the same equipment to build. They could build this next gen car. We could build the next gen car in-house. So what you could do, and this is just my opinion, and you probably have half the team owners say, no, we don't want to do that. But this is my opinion. You could let Joe Gibbs Racing build the clips. Hendrick Motorsports builds all the deck lids, the hoods, and whatever, right? So NASCAR techs these cars so vigorously anyway, it's not like that they can give themselves
a better deck lid than another team.
Right. I mean, they could. That's the only negative part, because the tolerances, we know, the difference between a good this
but
and
you're
a good
already
that.
getting that
it's
anyway,
ounces, it's millimeters, it's thousandths of an inch. Like, we know different parts that are better than others.
Right.
So,
but are you already getting that as is? Like, when a single source supplier supplies you a part, I mean, is every part seriously identical?
No.
Right. There's going to be one.
That's our problem, right? That's our problem right now. I know, but what in the competition aspect, that would be the only argument against it, is that
right. But
they are going to go off the line. They'll put it off the line and stamp it, whatever it might be.
Right.
They'll measure it, and if they'll find one that is a little bit better, they'll be like, that's ours.
Right.
That's
but
ours.
you're getting that currently on accident, right?
On accident, yes.
And
you
if
could be getting a good one, or you could be getting a bad one, and you're stuck with it.
Right. So this is already happening with a single source supplier. If teams made it, then it would just be a little more deliberate.
Why don't you have NASCAR then? Let's say Hendrick makes a certain part. NASCAR has to take a look and approve these parts before they are disseminated to the teams.
I think that there is a way, and trust me, the cost of the cars is so high, I'd be willing to take that risk. I just think that, also, I believe truly that the team's quality control would likely be better than any of the other manufacturers. Now, there are some distributors that their quality control is very, very good, that their parts that they distribute to the teams are all within nothing. I mean, it's just they are really, really, really precise. And there are others that it is wildly inconsistent, and you it's a roll of the dice whether you get a good one or a bad one. Now, a good one and a bad one is not going to decide whether you finish 20th or first. Let's be clear there. This is Corey LaJoie. It's stacking pennies. I mean, it's just little here, right? And so I think that I'm just saying it could save us a tremendous amount of money. I don't know how much, but certainly the teams could build this next gen car much, much, much cheaper than what it costs us currently to purchase it from someone else.
Well,
now I can tell you, there was someone called Greg Fernelli that hate everything I'm saying right now.
I was thinking that in my head. I was like, I wonder if Greg, I have no idea, but I'm like, I wonder if Greg's listening to this episode saying, F you, Denny, F you.
Yeah. He's probably screaming right now.
Yeah, he's not saying it.
Shut up!
If you listen, you might be able to hear him.
I know. So what I'm saying is you give a little bit of the car to each one of these teams that have the big CNC machines, that have all the infrastructure already to part out this car. Each team gets a little piece of it, and we probably could build this car for half of what we're paying for it right now, which would be a big deal. But again, like we're saying, you'd have to deal with the quality control and making sure that the builder does not get the best of everything.
Well, I love how you brought this thing full circle, because you said, Corey LaJoie, we're stacking pennies, and that's kind of where this all went off on this tangent, is that Spire is now stacking millions, and
yeah,
they bought a very expensive
Listen, I applaud what they're doing there. It's I love TJ, love Jeff, that whole group there. They're great guys. They've invested in the sport. Everyone should applaud their efforts and everything they're doing for our sport right now. So thank you guys.